I'm Stargate Pioneer.
I'm Haley.
And I'm Lauren from Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D.,
a podcast member of the GonnaGeek network, just like the one you're listening to now.
The opinions expressed are those of each individual. Check out all the other podcasts
at GonnaGeekNetwork.com and get ready because geekiness begins in 3,
2,
1.
This is it. The part of your week where you get to put your headphones on, relax, and listen to a bunch of geeks geek out about geeky things. They're passionate.
Did you know Magic Mike XXL is actually on the top 25 list of this year's best movie?
They're witty.
He loves him some Katy Perry because she kissed a girl and she liked it.
They're crazy.
I like Nickelback personally, but, I'm the fuddy-duddy who likes episode 1.
And sometimes I leave you wondering, what the f***?
I'm pretty sure that here we were starting the hashtag movement, bring back Slave Feral.
Welcome to the GonnaGeek.com podcast.
Hello and welcome to episode 130 of the official GonnaGeek.com podcast. My name is Stephen John Drew, and with me today is the whole crew again. We've got Stargate Pioneer.
Welcome to 2016, the year after the warmest year on record by 2 degrees.
That's awesome. That's awesome. We also have Chris Farrell for all.
We triumphed over the mighty YouTube earlier this week. I call it a win.
Very true. Maybe we'll touch on that a little bit later. And of course, we have the greatest one of the four of us, JS, French-Canadian sensation, Hero.
It did not snow an inch here in the last 3 days.
I don't think it snowed an inch here in the last year.
I hate you all. For those that didn't know, I got somewhere between 21 and 23 inches of snow dumped on me this weekend. It sucked.
Yeah, but was it a wet snow or was it that dry, like powdery stuff?
It was mostly the powdery stuff, thankfully. Otherwise, I would still be digging out of my house.
It doesn't stay powdery for a long time, though. It's powdery for a day, and then it becomes smushy, yucky.
I'm whining because it sucked a lot, and I did not enjoy it.
Like a foot of powder snow weighs as much as a feather pillow. I mean, it's no big deal to shovel that stuff.
As the guy on the podcast, which very, very rarely shovels snow, I just want to go ahead and say to you, Chris, you're such a slacker. Just do it and stop whining.
Such a slacker.
If you could see what's behind my hand right now. If you could see what's behind my hand.
Which I want to say thank you, because now I don't have to pixelate that this time. Thank you very much, Chris.
It's funny because there's like a million memes about American winter, and then you see like you guys have a little bit of snow, and then Canadian winter, and we're like, there's like snow higher than the cars. There's like been a million memes about that.
That's true. That's so true. So true. But Chris, our thoughts and prayers go out to you and your back.
Is this another one of those thoughts and prayers meme things? Because I'm tired of those too.
Perhaps. But let's go ahead and roll into the news. Shall we do that?
Rolling.
If you find a sound blurb from the Transformers where Optimus Prime says, "Let's go rolling," or whatever the hell he says.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Roll,
Instead,
Autobots.
We'll do the porn bump. Yeah, I totally cut away from the logo because you guys were dancing. Totally did it. This week in the news, we're going to start off with myself, who is talking about Skype. Now, I know most people don't use Skype anymore. I don't know anybody that uses Skype at all, ever. I know it's a thing of the past, but I've heard there's people that use it. I don't use it. So I'll still update those of you who don't you. Okay, here's the thing. We do this whole podcast by Skype. That's the joke. If you didn't know that, that's the horrible joke that I was making there. But yes,
really bad.
Terrible, absolutely awful. But
and the camera was on you the whole time, so the rest of us are like, we're not supposed to talk. So.
Yeah, so apparently it has been a problem for a while where it has been apparently
somewhat easy for people to get your IP address if you use Skype. Now, the funny thing, and JS, maybe you can enlighten us on this, where this was apparently a big problem was in the gamer community. People would lose. They would use a service that they could look up a Skype username and find an IP address and then do a DDoS on it. So
they do better things than that. They would call the cops on them and say that they had bombs and stuff like that. They made bomb threats. I don't know if you heard about that.
The swatting thing.
Yeah, exactly. They'd send the SWAT over to people's houses.
So yeah, apparently it's been a problem for a while, and that's something that Skype is saying with the latest update. It will now surprisingly hide your IP address by default.
Surprise!
Does it roll back to older versions of Skype though? Because if you're like most podcasters, you're like, ugh, another new version of Skype, it's going to screw with all my settings, and we never update.
So when I was when I was a younger man, there was a software called ICQ. And funny enough, if you right-clicked on someone, you could find their IP address. It straight up showed you their IP address in the software. And those were the days where Windows, was it Windows before XP was Windows 95, had like tons of exploits where you could like pop people's CD-ROMs open and stuff like that. You could pretty much remote their computers to like go to browser stuff, and people who would piss me off, I would get their IP on ICQ and like freak them out, and then they'd call me. I have computer problems. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, what's happening? Well, funny enough, my CD-ROM keeps popping out. I don't understand.
That's something though. I totally know what you're meaning. And back in the day when ICQ was a big thing, the IP address actually could get you some good information because of the way that the IP addresses were laid out, or you could do the proper routes and get a fairly good idea on where the person was. You couldn't get it down to the street address usually, but back in the day, there was some system and some order to it all, and you could hone in.
You can still get somebody's postal code. You can get up to postal code.
I didn't know that.
On free stuff. You can get a little bit deeper if you pay a bit of money. But yeah, you can get somebody's postal code.
Which, if you are in a major city like New York, that's going to do absolutely nothing for you. But if you're in the one house that has internet in Wyoming in the postal code, you know who that person is.
That's why you use VPNs, guys.
Yeah, well, that stuff's going to get cracked down. It's going to get cracked down intensively.
Netflix already is doing that.
Allegedly. Yeah. Here's the thing, though. Do you know how... Let's analyze it. How motivated are they really when they are getting a large portion of people outside of the U.S. signing up for their service who would not if they could only get their regional Netflix? I know of many people personally that I work with that will cancel as soon as they get blocked through their service.
Well, they're paying enough lip service they don't get in trouble is what's going on.
Exactly.
They're going to do it some token blocks and things like that. People are going to get angry about it, but it's really just like, hey, we're doing the best we can to combat this. Sorry, guys, we can't beat everything.
By the way, if you are watching along, or actually, I'll just tell you, if you are in the chat now, Suncast is remembering his ICQ number, which is 881540. I believe mine is, I don't know, because I don't know. Maybe you can still get the IP address. I won't say it, but I think I know what it is. It's been a long, long time, and I think I might know my password, but maybe that'll be a mission for after the show. But if you are using Skype, I would suggest that you update. Maybe if you're concerned about security, I won't suggest that you update from the podcasting perspective, because Chris is absolutely right that so many podcasters do neglect updating Skype because of a variety of reasons, on settings being reset, on things just working differently. I know that there was many podcasters who would do what I do, which is multiple Skype sessions at one time. And one of the previous updates made it so that you could apparently no longer inject your login credentials. So you have to log in individually to each session. That's what I do, but I know there's a lot of people who had it saved so that you could open up this Skype window and it would log you into account A, and open up this one, and it would log you in automatically to account B. So from that perspective, maybe not, but from a security, if you don't want your IP address available, you should update. There's your PSA. Your conflicting
Although,
PSA.
If you wait too long to upgrade, then you will leave yourself vulnerable to a whole bunch of stuff.
That's true. That's very, very true.
Yeah, but you're vulnerable by upgrading too fast. You're vulnerable by not upgrading fast enough. To be quite honest, you're most of the time vulnerable. Just don't open files in your email, even if it says your UPS package tracking number. Like,
what?
Just don't open those.
But I didn't order a package, JS, and a free package sounded incredible.
It might be somebody sending you something for free. You should definitely open that zip file that says UPS tracking number.
Yeah.
Steven, Bill Gates is sending you free money. He's got to get rid of it.
I have the funniest thing. So there's one of our clients that he gets viruses often. And we've instructed him not to open emails from people he does not know. Not even don't open files. Don't even open emails from people you don't know. If you don't recognize the email and who it's from, don't open it. So he calls me one morning. He's like, I have a virus, I think. And I'm like, did you open an email from somebody you don't know? He says, no, I opened it from somebody I definitely know. So I connected to his computer and I verified who the email was from. And when, lo and behold, he really did know this person. It was an email from himself. So he opened the email and opened the attachment that he had not sent himself. He had not sent himself this email, but he opened the email that he sent himself.
Oh, man. But he knew, JS, your instructions weren't clear enough, okay?
And that's what he said. Well, I knew it was from me. I'm like, but did you send it to yourself? I was like, no, but I saw the attachment, so I had to open it.
Okay, in the guy's defense, is he mentally handicapped in any way, shape, or form?
Not at all. Not well. No.
Is he now, after you bludgeoned him with his computer?
No. It saddens me because he makes an increasingly higher amount of money than I do, and it saddens me that this world.
Jess, you should just
like
give
that.
him the right advice and be like, use a Mac. You can't get viruses on those. We all know that.
No, those are even worse.
That was
Those
called
are
sarcasm.
even worse. Those are even worse. But that's my PSA of the day. Don't open emails from people you don't know, especially emails from yourself.
But what if I sent it in a drunken stupor, JS? It might have been something important.
No, nothing's important.
There's a commercial out there now, and it's big in like the sports events like NFL football or whatever. There's this guy, this young Asian guy, and he's doing a job interview. And in the job interview, he's showing his future boss how adept he is at using social media, including like the drunken parties he's had in far off lands, and with his face is all marked up with Sharpies and stuff like that. And the guy's like, so what are you telling me this for? It's like, oh, I just want to show you how well I use social media. And the guy's like, yeah, I think we're done here. So the guy picks up his phone, he calls right away. He's like, oh, I'm just following up. How did I do in the interview? When am I going to hear? It's like, it was one of the commercials where they mash a word together, like dumb-witted or something like that. And I can't remember, but this guy clearly didn't have a clue.
By the way, side note, JS, in the chat does want to know, was the guy using Windows XP?
No, I was running Windows 7.
Windows 7. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Was he running Windows 7 Pro so he could have more than 16 gigabytes of memory?
He was running Pro because he's on a domain.
Really? He had a domain and he did this? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, most of our business clients are on domains.
All right, well, let's just move ahead over towards the Chris Farrell and find out, Chris, what do you got going on for your news this week?
So we just found out there's 2 movies that are getting delayed and shifted around a little bit. We'll go with the first one that everyone's probably heard a lot about. Star Wars Episode VIII is now being shifted until December 15th, 2017.
No!
Yes, there's lots of rumors as to why this is the case. Depends on which one you want to believe. One of the rumors that's floated out there is it's because Disney wants time to refine the script a little more because they didn't realize just how much everyone was going to love the new characters, and they wanted to make sure they all get a chance to shine. More what I believe is they basically printed themselves a crap ton of money this Christmas time and said, let's do it again.
Yep, and also the other thing that I think that we're missing is the fact that it takes how many months to do toys in production, and they want to make sure that they appeal to those No, I'm just kidding. I'm trying to make fun of the people who are saying there's no Ray toys out there, and I'm like, you know what? There's lots of people that own Ray toys, so stuff it. So
don't stir the pot up on that one again, please. Please.
You know, Chris, I have not looked into this, so I'm legitimately asking you this question. Have you seen a new slate of Marvel and Star Wars movies where they're deconflicting each other? I'm guessing that's part of this whole thing as well.
Actually, what they did is they moved episode 8 out of their time slot in May, and then they put Pirates of the Caribbean 6 in place of it.
Yes.
So
I'm guessing they have two.
Go ahead.
Like they have a Marvel movie and Pirates of the Caribbean in that May of 2017, right?
Probably something like that. I would have to go and look at one of the breakdowns of all the Marvel movies. They've been shifting things around a lot, though, because we've seen Thor shifted right to move up some other stuff. It's Marvel and Disney movies. They're constantly shifting them around.
I know, and one of the big things that I'm really hating these guys is they moved the Captain Marvel movie back again.
Because that was just put on the slate to appeal people. That's all. That's not going to happen.
Apparently. I might switch over to DC now and go watch Wonder Woman.
By the way, it's funny, all this Marvel talk, I have something really, really stupid to admit, by the way. Just before this show here, my wife does this thing on a Facebook group. And what it is it's a company and they post a bunch of random pictures and get people to guess. And then eventually people get points. And at the end of the week, somebody ends up getting a prize. So today's topic was hunky men. And it showed you from this part, like your nose down to your face and then the body. I'm going to admit this. I ended up helping her win tonight's round because I knew my hunky men, including Chris Evans, Chris Pratt. There was also Chris Hemsworth. There was lots of Chris's tonight. So I knew my hunky Marvel men.
Did you get
Congrats.
a Chris Pine?
There was a Chris Pine, actually. There was Chris Pine.
Well, he's not Marvel.
That's true.
He's DC.
That's true. Sorry. My bad.
Actually, he's Captain Kirk.
He is Captain Kirk. He is Captain Kirk. When my wife asked me who is it, I go, he's Captain Kirk. That is what I said.
She's not going to know who Steve Trevor is. Most DC Comics fans don't know who Steve Trevor is. Let's be honest.
I do. I know who Steve, but I watched the Wonder Woman TV show, so that's how I know.
That's why you know.
Yeah.
So the other movie that shifted we were going to talk about, we all tend to forget about this one. The biggest box office movie ever, Avatar, came out, in 2008? We've all kind of forgotten about it because it was kind of a pop cultural phenomenon that came and went. But James Cameron has been promising 2 or 3 more sequels. The first of which was supposed to happen in December 2017. Conveniently after Star Wars shifted to December 2017, 20th Century Fox said, yeah, we're moving it. We don't have a release date for Avatar 2 now. And mostly why I wanted to bring this one up is, do you guys even remember Avatar, other than the fact it was just a spectacle and everyone went to go see it? But does it even exist in pop culture anymore? I dare one of you, give me a line out of Avatar that you remember.
Well, I can tell you that the Cirque du Soleil just made an Avatar-based spectacle. It's brand new.
Ooh.
Well, it's Cirque du Soleil.
Cirque du Soleil. But in all seriousness, I kind of brought this up mostly in jest because James Cameron's been promising an Avatar sequel forever, and it keeps falling further and further back. And it seems like more and more people don't really remember Avatar that much, other than being like, oh yeah, that's that one that I saw really cool 3D in the theater, but I don't really remember much else about what happened. I mean, when's the last time you saw it on TV or replayed anywhere?
No, I have to admit, I bought it. No, I didn't buy it. I was I was gifted it and I hadn't seen it in the theaters. I watched it once, really enjoyed it, had full intentions of watching it a couple more times. Have not watched it since. I've only ever watched it once.
I've actually heard it multiple times because we bought the Blu-ray combo, 3D combo DVD set, and we watched it in the car when we're driving the kids around and stuff like that. It was one of the few things that everybody could watch and whatever. Now, is there a line I can remember? No, but I remember the story pretty much. I remember Unobtainium. Right. I don't remember a specific line, but in my defense, I don't remember lines from movies unless they're really cool, like in The Martian. I'm going to science the beep out of this, so.
And the reason I brought that line part up is there's almost always out of some movie like 1 or 2 lines that everyone remembers that becomes part of the pop cultural phenomenon. But I don't really remember it happening with this movie. And I'm not trying to hate on it. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of it. It was okay, but it just doesn't seem like it's stuck.
I remember the interspecies sex where
Of course you do, JS.
he has sex with the horse, and then he has sex with the girl, and then he has sex with the flying bat thingamajiggy.
I do remember
that.
a line from Avatar. I remember one, and it was one I heard a lot of times. Oh my god, this movie's so awesome! Oh wait, that might not have been a line from the movie. My bad.
Unobtainium. That is the word that I remember from this movie. It's not a line, it's a word. So I do remember a piece of dialogue from the movie.
I really
It was
don't.
an okay movie. Funny, talking about James Cameron, it brings up the bad news that was released 2 days ago that the Terminator franchise has been completely shelved and iced for a permanent or...
How many people here have seen Genesis?
I have.
Nope.
I enjoyed it. It was not bad.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was enjoyable. It's a Terminator movie. I don't know what people are expecting. Like, it's not going to get any better than this. I mean, let's be honest. Terminator 2 is good, but it ain't that good. It ain't going to win Oscars. You don't go see Terminator for the story.
So I listened to Legends podcast, and Beef is a huge Terminator fan, right? And I did not hear a glowing review from him. So I'm like, it was one of those movies. There's so much out right now. I'm 5 movies behind anyway. I've got Mad Max on Blu-ray. I haven't seen that. I've got Jurassic World on Blu-ray. Still haven't seen it. Yeah. So there's other movies that I have to sit down and watch. And if you're not The Martian lately, you're not getting on my TV.
Which I saw that finally, by the way. Amazing movie.
It's not a great movie.
What a ringing endorsement.
It's not bad. It's not going to win Oscars, but people really knock. It's better than the third one. Was it the third one with Christian Bale? It's definitely better than that.
It's the fourth.
It has a lot of.
Yeah.
You know what? It's a lot like the new Star Wars. It's a lot
Force
like
Awakens.
The new Star Wars. So.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of the first and second movie and reruns it.
I feel like JS, if you were to give this movie like a review that you would put on the back of the actual packaging, it would be like, this movie will keep you occupied for 90 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. It's a 6 or a 7. So I would go watch it, but I wouldn't watch it a second time. But if you got nothing else to watch and you've watched everything else, it's okay to watch.
So really this one.
Answer me this, JS. If you had to compare between Arrow and Genesis, which one would you pick?
I would watch Genesis over Arrow because acting to me is very important. Like, acting is a major part of entertainment. If I don't believe the acting, I can't get into the movie. That being said, what's her name from Game of Thrones? Emilia Clarke. It's a good movie, Terminator 2, man. But have you watched it?
Yes,
it's good. I own it. I've watched it many times, but to me, Terminator 1 was a better movie than Terminator 2.
Terminator 1 is a better movie for my daughters and for my wife because of the love story. Terminator 2 has just all that bang action, and it just hit me at the right time when I saw it, which was on HBO. I did not see it in the theaters, but
see, Terminator 1 to me, it's revolutionary. The story's not super original. Let's be honest. It had some rehash, but it did it right. The robot, it was they call it, he's a cyborg, right? So it had a lot of good things. The second one was really good because it kept you captivated, but when you just cut it down, it's just a guy running. It's Run Lola Run, pretty much, with robots. It's not bad, don't get me wrong. They're very good movies. They're probably eight to almost 9s. They don't deserve Oscars, but they should be on a pedestal for sci-fi movies. They you have to watch it. If you enjoy science fiction movies, Terminator 1, Terminator 2 is a must watch. I mean, Terminator 3 with Christian Bale, the story is completely horrible, but the effects are nice. I mean, the visual is very pretty. It's a pretty movie.
It was Terminator 4, I believe, with Christian Bale.
4, you're right. Yeah. Third one was the guy who had done that submarine movie. What was it called?
U57.
Whatever.
Yeah, U57. Jonathan Mostow. U571. Yep, that's U571 was a good movie, but
I enjoyed it a lot.
He hasn't made a good movie since, to be quite honest.
But back to the subject at hand there. Yes, there definitely were a couple of movies that were pushed back, and I think we just need to accept the fate, and the fate is that Avatar 2 is going to probably suck.
It's not ever come out.
Yeah, we're never going to get it.
I mean, it's only been being promised since 2009.
No, it's going to suck.
What is James Cameron actually doing nowadays?
Well, saving the world or diving. I don't know. It's James Cameron. He goes and does weird things and gets inspired to go and do movies. Hey, man, the process works for him. I'm not dogging him on that. His process works. He goes and sees something cool and then makes a movie. And it's generally pretty entertaining.
That's true. That's true.
Just watch South Park. They make fun of him saving the world.
You know, he might be waiting until this whole juggernaut of the comic book movie and maybe Star Wars calms down a little bit before he enters the fray again. But how old is he? He might not make it that long. I don't want you to hex the guy or not, but
54.
If it's
Born in
5,
54. Born in 54.
He's 400.
He was 1954.
Okay.
He's 454 years old. Didn't you know that?
What the heck?
You know, he was supposed to direct the first Spider-Man, eh? He had a script. He was supposed to direct the first Spider-Man. His script was actually pretty good. There was it was with Doc Ock, and it was supposed to be very close to very, very, very close to the comic. But one thing he had changed is he was the one who had brought up the concept of he actually makes the spider webs. Like they really, and there was like this internet backlash that was like horrendous, and this was even back then, like 2001, 2002 or something like that. An internet backlash back then. If you could get it,
the 90s was when he was going to do this.
I think it was in the maybe let's double check. But his script had leaked and stuff, and then he dropped the project, and then Sam Raimi picked it up.
Well, we should move on a little bit past this topic here and move on to the last news that we have of the night, which is something that I don't know. Is it 9? Is it 10? I don't know. SP, you fill us in.
I'm a little bit confused as well, because I still count Pluto as a planet, much to Neil deGrasse Tyson's chagrin. So anyway, last week on January 20th, in the Astronomical Journal, a article was posted called "The Evidence for a Distant Giant Planet in the Solar System." What? An unknown giant planet? Now we know where they're hiding the Death Star. See? There you go. Anyway, there's 2 scientists at Caltech, researchers Konstantin, I'm going to butcher this name, I'm sorry, but bad again, and Mike Brown. And Mike Brown is noted for writing the book in 2010 called "How I Killed Pluto and Why It Had It Coming." So I don't like this guy either right away. Anyway, so what they did is they took a look at orbital perturbations out in the Kuiper Belt. Now, what is the Kuiper Belt? If you're familiar with the solar system, you have the inner planets, which are the smaller planets like Mars and Earth. And then you have the gas giants like Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, and Uranus. And in between those two is this asteroid belt. And largely the asteroid belt is there because the gas giants' gravity pull is not making a planet possible in between Mars and Jupiter. So you have this ring of asteroids. Well, also, additionally, there's this ring of asteroids and comets and stuff like that out farther called the Kuiper Belt. And I guess if you look at some of these objects, which are really extremely, excruciatingly slow moving because they're so far out, if you track their progress over time and then combine their orbital perturbations of everything, they have come to the conclusion, which is not fully accepted in scientific circles these days, that a giant planet about 10 times the mass of Earth is sitting out at 20 times farther than the sun, than Neptune. So that's a far ways out. It's basically, if you think in terms of a binary star system, it's probably more like that than anything else. But this planet, instead of they orbiting around each other, this planet is orbiting around the sun. So the orbital time they're guesstimating is somewhere between 10,000 and 20,000 years just to make one orbit. So that's 1 year. So that a 1 year old would be 20,000 years old. That's a long time. Anyway, so this is exciting if it's true, because nobody has found this thing yet. And they're saying that with the right light and with the right look and with the right calculations, existing telescopes that we have today can be used to find this thing. So we're going to see probably in our lifetimes if this is true or not, or if there's a Death Star out there. Oh,
Totally is a Death Star. There's always a Death Star. Absolutely.
That's no planet. It's a Death Star.
That's no moon. It's a space station.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, it shall be interesting to see about this. I don't know.
Yeah, so
I just watched The Martian, though, this weekend, so everything fails in comparison to that, SB.
Right. I love The Martian. Seen it 6 times on DVD. Anyway, Adam in the chat said, is that the same as the Oort cloud? No, it is not. It is in between the Kuiper belt and the Oort cloud. So that is the space which this planet would be in. The Oort cloud is even this other area of asteroids and gas and particles and stuff like that. That's even farther out than the Kuiper belt. So there you go. And if you want to, I'm going to have to, in one of my space symposiums, go over the fact that we are actually on Earth Mark II and the Solar System Mark II, but that's a discussion for a different day. In the meantime, we might have a 10th planet in the solar system.
I'm excited, but scared. Because if it's a Death Star, we're all going to die.
They bring this up every like five or 10 years. They always find the 10th planet, and then they lose it. And then they find it. Then they lose it.
Well,
and they find it.
These guys did find a smaller hunk of rock called, I believe it's Eris or something like that, and they couldn't call it a planet because it's not big enough. I don't think it was even big enough to be called a planetoid, which is what they officially call Pluto these days. I call Pluto a planet because I'm old school, and the Pluto would always be a planet to me. But yeah, they're going to constantly find this sort of stuff as long as the math backs it up. You have to go back to the math and what is the perturbation. One thing that leaped to my mind was, what if this is a black hole out there? Oh
no, we're in trouble.
Well, some scientists actually think it's a dwarf red dwarf. What it is?
A star. Yeah, basically, it's the same sort of thinking in terms of a gas giant that has gone dead or ignited and gone back together, whatever. But odds are we would have found something like that. So whatever this is really cold and really dim because the light's not hitting it. So, eventually we might find it.
Very, very cool. Thank you very much for that, SB. I always love finding out more about space and how we're probably just a step closer to getting the X-Files. So there you go.
Do, 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 do. I wanted to sing the song and I stopped myself. That's what that was there.
Yeah, look, somebody's all afraid of YouTube now after a little brush with them on the weekend, hey?
I'm not. I fear nothing. I fear nothing.
Are we gonna talk about that?
Sure, we can talk about that. We'll take a moment here to talk about that, but we'll do that at the end of the show because we're gonna go ahead and move into Chris's app segment.
So I have an unhealthy addiction to buying and trying apps on all of my devices. For those who don't know, my daily driver phone is an Android phone, but my main tablet is an iPad, so I play with apps on both sides. I found an app that I'd been looking at for a while that just recently went on sale for the low price of $7.99. And you might be wondering, low price for an iOS app? Well, let me explain. It's normally a $15 app. It's called DuetDisplay. You can use it on an iPhone, an iPad, or iPod. But basically what it is it is a way to turn your iPad, in my case, into a third monitor for my rig right now. You plug in your lightning cable to the USB port on your computer and you run a piece of software on your desktop, be it Windows or Mac, and it basically extends your desktop onto that, makes it a touchscreen tablet. And I can show you guys right now. This is my iPad running the show right now and has the chat room in it that I've had going on here. And there is almost no lag going right now. Well, the cool thing is there's almost no lag going on with this display right now.
I noticed that. Hold that up one more time. And audio listener, I encourage you to go to YouTube and check out the video show for this, because this is really, really darn cool.
Now, there's the YouTube lag we have to contend with on this, but there's almost no lag on it. And the cool thing is you can make this go up to as high a resolution as the iPad will support. Right now, I've got it doing 1366 by 1024 pixels just so it'd be able to show up. But if I really wanted to, I could crank it to 2048 by 1536 and have the full Retina display going on that. And it does not tax my graphics card on this machine. Now, I did try it on my older Windows 7 laptop yesterday when I was working on some stuff. And I found if I did more than about 1024 by 768, the fan was just running the entire time because it was taxing both the graphics card and my processor a good deal to do it. But if you're someone that travels a lot and you always have your tablet with you, in this case your iPad, it's a really useful tool for tossing up and having an easy second screen experience. And I bring it up right now because it is on sale. So if it was something you've been kicking around wanting to use, go give it a try. It's $7.99. Here is one of the caveats with it though. It will only work on iOS 7 and up. So if you have an original iPad hanging around that you wanted to do something with, it will not work on the original iPad. It has to be iPad 2 or up for this to work.
Gotcha. So can it do the clone desktop as well? Is that a possibility?
What do you mean by clone desktop?
Where, you know how when you hook up a second monitor, it gives you the option to either extend so you use it as a second and push Windows on it, or mirrors.
Yes, I would assume it could, because literally once I've installed this little plugin on my computer, you just go to my screen resolution settings in Windows and it just shows up as another monitor.
That's very
cool. So
cool.
I could set it up. Yeah, I've got it set up to extend to this display. I could drop right now to duplicate desktop on this one, things like that. But cool. I have extended it and shifted it to the left side of things. I'm probably not going to use it a ton, but I thought I'd mess around with it, and I might use it some for when I'm doing podcast hosting and stuff like that for ATG, and is be able to put all my timers in Audacity in one small screen right in front of me, so I'm not having to constantly scroll around on things. But $7.99, it's pretty useful, works on both Windows and Macs. So it doesn't matter. As long as you're not using Linux, you're good to go. And what's interesting on this is I guess the guys that developed it are former Apple engineers. So they knew how to make this appropriately communicate with the devices here. I've been very impressed with it. For $7.99, I would definitely get it. $15, it's not a must-have, but it's a nice-to-have.
Now, I like this app because you can actually use it as an extension, as another monitor without using Wi-Fi. I actually have a Surface RT. We've talked about it before, and I have used this app called Splashtop to do another monitor experience with it. Unfortunately, it has to be through Wi-Fi. So if I'm traveling somewhere with my laptop, I can put it up as a second screen. I've done it before. It's really neat, but I have to be on the same Wi-Fi in order to do that. And that has always concerned me, because what if I don't have Wi-Fi available? I won't be able to do it. So that is why I like this app much better than the Splashtop, which has to go through Wi-Fi. So thank you for bringing it up. I'm going to try it on my iPad versus the Surface RT.
Right. There's some other apps out there that I've seen that will use the Wi-Fi or Bluetooth to do it, but there's a latency issue you have with that. Whereas if you're plugged directly into the computer, that latency issue goes away, and you also charge your tablet at the same time. So you've got that going for you, I guess.
Awesome. Good find.
Good find indeed. And I encourage everybody to let us know what you think if you have tried it. You can give us a call at 567-343-GEEK. That's 567-343-4335. You can tweet us at GonnaGeek. You can find us at GonnaGeek.com. And you can also like us at Facebook.com/GonnaGeek. So let us know what your experience is with this app, or maybe there's another one there that you want to recommend to Chris for his next edition of Chris's app segment.
So before we move off this one real quick, just if you want more information, head on over to DuetDisplay.com or look it up in the App Store. It's DuetDisplay. It is on sale right now. I have no idea how long that sale will go for. So if it's something you've been considering, you might want to give it a try. The problem is if you don't like it, it's iOS, iTunes Store, so there's really not an easy refund policy like there is in the Google Play side of the house.
Good point. But I think that is going to go ahead and take us towards the end of the show. Before we do that, I'm going to toss it over here.
Yeah, well, we'll throw it to SP since you went on for a couple of minutes there, Chris. SP, why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about our brush with YouTube?
All right. So yes, YouTube, we've been using it a lot for the GonnaGeek network. We have various different podcasts which are posting their videos or audio only with a placard on it on the GonnaGeek channel. So if you haven't subscribed yet, I would wholeheartedly encourage you to subscribe. But two of the podcasts that we do on the network, Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Starling Tribune, we do on Blab. And then what's great about Blab is they download or they give you the video, a link, so you can download it afterwards, and then you can actually go in and edit the video and then post it on YouTube. And Chris has been doing that for Starling Tribune, and it's been turning out great, by the way. So we've been uploading these videos for a while. The music on it is actually properly accredited with copyright, what is it called? Commons copyright or whatever?
Creative
Help
Commons.
me out here. Creative Commons. It's royalty-free music, Creative Commons, and that is all fine. And everything we use on the podcast, we've either created ourselves or we have the proper rights to display it. So, Chris, being the great video editor that he is, I give him the file. He works on it a little bit Thursday night after the podcast. Friday rolls around and he tries to post it, and I think he had something going on Friday or whatever. Saturday, puts it up, and then within a couple of minutes, it disappears. And I personally suspect it's because JS hates Arrow so much. He's like, I don't want to see this on the GonnaGeek network. So he clicked, it is a community violation, and he took it off. So thank you very much, JS.
Exactly.
I reported it.
So there's two things that we think could have happened. Either JS reported it or somebody else reported it, or some automatic algorithm, and YouTube does have them, by the way, picked it up and said, we don't like the content on here. It violates our community standards. So it went off. So the three of us, Steven, Chris, and myself, spent collectively each about 4 hours delving into what this was. How were you going to respond, whatever? And the text box, you get to refute that. You only get to refute once, but the text box is like 80 some characters or something stupid like that.
It was 200 characters, 200 characters, which is not much.
Yeah. And if your rebuttal fails, then you cannot refute any violations for the next 60 days, also, is the other thing to point out.
So you're between a rock and a hard place. It's like throwing a review flag on the NFL game where you're going to lose a timeout or something like that. Anyway. So we went ahead and we crafted this paragraph long response. And then when Steven's getting ready to press send, he's like, I can only fit 200 characters in. So this is what I can say. We're like, okay, we'll see what's going on. And then all three of us reviewed this video from last June or whatever, of this guy that said, this is what happens. Now, we didn't have a strike against our account. We just had the video taken down. There is a difference. Sometimes when you have a video taken down, there's a strike against your account, which then would put you in not good standing, and you would be within a probationary period. So if you had another strike, or I think 3 strikes and you're out, your account's closed. But after 2 strikes, it gets even more restrictive, and you don't want to upload any videos that might get another strike against you during that time. So it's a real tenuous position. Anyway, so we went ahead and appealed, and we heard anywhere between 4 days, 4 months, something like that. Something would happen. I don't know how long it was. It might have been 20 minutes. I don't know. And
if that.
And then the video just popped back up with no notification. We're like, what happened? So yeah, this sort of stuff actually happens with YouTube. What, you have anything to add, Chris? Since you did the most research on it.
The real kicker on this one, what really confused me, is it just showed up when the video manager, it said there was a community violation. And I went, okay, what does that mean? We never got any emails or notifications about what specifically this video supposedly violated. It was just yanked down with a generic message saying it violated the YouTube community standards. And there was nothing that told us what it was. So we're racking our heads. We're like, did we forget to say this is Creative Commons licensed music? No, we did that. Well, we do quotes from Arrow at the top of the show, and we called someone an SOB in that. Maybe that's what they didn't like. No, that can't be it. We had no idea what it was. So we just appealed the damn thing. And we were like, well, we'll see what happens. And I honestly think it was probably somewhere 10, 20 minutes later, it was back with no problem. So maybe I'm just a conspiracy theorist. I like to think someone had sour grapes and was like, oh, the heck with these Starling Tribune guys. I don't want to see this, and reported it. And that was a voice that YouTube listens to. And the way JS is smiling, I'm pretty sure it was him.
It's totally JS.
Well, and there's one other thing that I want to toss in here about the whole thing is as you may assume, me as the owner of the podcast empire of GonnaGeek,
Empire now, is it?
The account is technically, I am listed as the owner. I did not get an email. I'm like going through madly through my spam, through everything. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm looking through Google Plus settings. I'm looking through everything to see where there possibly could have been a different email address it went to. I went and checked all my other previous Gmails that I've had that maybe possibly somewhere I might have maybe have tied to the GonnaGeek page, which I hadn't. And none of them had this notification, either one that we were supposed to get, either the one that said why we got blocked or why we said that our appeal had been successful. So I'm hoping that this time when this video gets challenged and removed because we've just called out YouTube, they'll actually send us a reason.
That's true. And we had problems on Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., by the way. Haley was calling out Marvel for changing Spider-Man around and whatever. And then every time she said something, her audio would just go bloop. So the Marvel snipers got Haley on Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. So this has been a heck of a censor week on the GonnaGeek network.
I mean, and I know we're not the only ones this happens to. This is just our venue to complain about it. Because if you've been watching the chat, Suncat's been talking about guys from Queens had the same issue at one point in time. But for them, it took 4 months to resolve. So for us, it taking only a little bit of time. That's awesome, because something like the Starling Tribune, 4 months from now, someone's probably not going to care as much because it's not very timely.
Yeah, now I've never actually reported a video before on YouTube, and I'm not about to find out the process in case it's like an instant thing, right? But I have the only other random conspiracy theory that I have is that you go through and you answer a few questions, and maybe if that is the process, maybe there's a certain combination which automatically strips it down. If somebody says this is this combined with this is this, pull it right away before review. No, JS?
They have a team in the Philippines that checks everything. Everything. Yeah, you've never heard about this?
No.
They go they get PTSD. They get PTSD because they see the worst crap in the world. And it's horrible to say for people who've seen some very horrible stuff and do get this disease, but they get, I don't know if it's PTSD or some extreme trauma. They can't last more than X amount. I don't want to say a random number, but let's say like a year. After a year, they burn out because they see so much videos that like are so horrendous that challenge their sanity. Yeah,
I have heard of that, but I've heard that there is automation that has been put in place that
it doesn't work well. It doesn't work well. Back in the days, I used to work for an American company who monitored forums, and they actively wanted to do this because it would eliminate their workforce. Let's be honest, it sucks to say, but they really wanted a moderator. Costs money. He costs an hourly wage. But they could never. They tried tons of tests. They tried to learn from moderators, because every time you would moderate something, you would have to record it so that the computer would learn from it. It doesn't work. It doesn't work because it catches the computer's not able to really understand. It's like a CAPTCHA. It's just you'll never be able to beat it.
That's crazy.
That's what I was thinking, that maybe we were the victim of that, where it was something that had been put in place to help that process and it just wasn't 100%. And that's why the review was so quick, because it was flagged as an automatic removal.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, we don't see anything wrong with this.
So what probably happens, they probably do use the software for video, and it probably goes to a bin and it's flagged at a certain time, and the person who's responsible, he doesn't watch the whole video, right? He watches where it gets flagged, and he just probably I don't want to use the term
Makes a
robot,
snap
but
judgment.
they become robots, right? They know that word cannot be said, so they just flag it and send it ahead. So that's why you can appeal, because when you appeal, there's actually somebody who invests a little bit more time. But I mean, Google might be at the point where they do have, algorithms. I mean, let's be honest, Google's the algorithm kings. But they probably, when you flagged it for review, there's definitely somebody who checked it.
So they do a good job of checking for copyrighted material and stuff, because I know I've done some stuff on Twitch before. It was just built in my Xbox and then just pushed it to YouTube. And I've gotten the notifications of, hey, this contains so-and-so's music, so you can't monetize this video. And I say, well, I don't really care. But I'll get notifications randomly. Like, I have some Batman Arkham Knight games play videos that I put up there months ago that I just got dinged today, and they're like, hey, this contains music from these different producers, so they're going to take a cut anytime someone plays this video. And I went, okay, and I deleted the video, but that's beside the point.
Wow. That happened today?
Yeah, that happened today. I mean, I got 3 notifications, it was yesterday. I got 3 notifications in one day of saying, hey, this video contains music from so-and-so. And I was like, okay, that's great. So I just deleted the video because I just put it there for my own entertainment value to go back and look at. I have no plan ever to monetize my Let's Play games or videos, rather. It's just me screwing around the internet.
I'm sure somebody flagged you guys, to be honest. I'm sure somebody flagged you guys, and because it flags, it automatically censors until somebody either reviews. So you guys contesting it just coincidentally happened, and then the person who was reviewing the flag, I would bet a lot of money somebody flagged you guys.
So I guess the real conversation to have is, we as video podcasters now, we're very dependent on services like YouTube to get that product out there and make sure people can see it. And we're kind of stuck by some of these things. You kind of have to live with the system. I guess the other question is, where else do you put your video then that gets quite the same distribution as YouTube?
Right. So I forget what the company was that bought it out, but somebody bought out Ustream, or a holding company that had Ustream. So that is another possibility, and somebody's wanting to get into the game. I know iTunes is kind of a video thing, but if you're a podcaster and you have to host the video somewhere, that is very expensive. It is prohibitively expensive to go with like a Libsyn or a Blueberry or one of our normal media hosts to do it. I know I use MediaFire, but that's slow as snot to download. You could put it up on archive.org, another place that it's going to be slow to download. So YouTube is really the only game in town when it comes to video, and that's a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because it's free, but it's a curse because you're playing by Google rules.
Right. There's other stuff like Dailymotion and Vimeo and stuff people can use, but it does not have the same exposure as YouTube. So you're kind of stuck having to deal with this imperfect system, and I don't know the right way to make it better. I know we're not the only ones that can run into this, because like we know, Suncast talked about it. I've heard other podcasters who do video talking about the fact that, hey, we're discussing something. We do something that's fair use, and YouTube yanks us down. And by the time we get around to protesting it and it going through, it's months later and it doesn't really matter anymore.
Yeah.
So these guys, most of the time, are just like, okay, we'll take it. Take down the video. We don't care. It's not worth the time and effort.
Exactly.
I'm just glad we won.
No, I know, which means that we are basically the kings of YouTube. I think that's the only natural
You're so
conclusion
getting us
here.
pulled off YouTube now.
Well, that is going to take us to the end of episode 130. So before we do that, I will do our usual self-serving section. Wow, try to say that again. Self-serving section. Hey, I did do it. But I'm going to go ahead and give mad kudos to these two guys right here, JS and Chris, because I was out when all of that YouTube stuff. Well, not JS, Chris and SB.
JS is what got us in trouble.
I'm going to give JS mad props for making us have an eventful weekend. And Chris and SB, I'm going to give you mad props for getting the ball rolling on this, because I was out when it first came up, and I was not available to immediately get on my computer, and you guys did a lot of legwork. So thank you very much for that. SB, you got anything you want to go ahead and plug?
Yeah, 2 quick things. Don't forget the normal TV series season has full underway again. You have Flash, so you have Crimson Comet, you have Arrow, so you have Starling Tribune, you have Agent Carter, so you have Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. Had to pause there to get it right. So you have all the podcasts coming back and everything. I know we've been touting that for the last few weeks, but you have that. But I want to make a special plug that if you are an independent podcast and you want to be part of the GonnaGeek family, there is a review process and a submission process that you need to go through. So to go to GonnaGeek.com/about, and you can start that process by filling out the submission form and seeing where it goes.
And because I made the website, it is extraordinarily complicated. No, I'm just kidding. It's really easy. Chris, you got anything you want to plug?
So it's not really plugging, but more of an awareness thing. If you guys didn't realize, the X-Files started up again last night as we recorded this. Episode 2 is on as we're recording right now. I really enjoyed the first episode, and I'm really looking forward to see where they go with this 6th episode return. So go check out the X-Files. It's been a lot of fun.
Is it, please tell me it's back with the aliens, because when it wasn't about aliens, the movies
this whole first episode is all about aliens, JS.
Yay! I'm happy.
So go check it out. I believe it's up on Hulu, and I know Fox probably has it on demand on your cable or satellite providers.
Is the smoking man back?
I don't want to say anything, JS, because I don't want to potentially spoil someone.
JS,
that would be me.
JS, you got anything you want to plug this week?
Well, I'm not allowed to plug what I'm supposed to plug. You told me not to plug it anymore.
I never said anything. It was the other you-know-what's on this podcast that said it.
No, I'm not going to plug anything.
All right. Well,
so I'm confused. He started the year off saying he wasn't going to plug anything in 2016, and then last week he plugged something. And now he's saying he can't again. So what are the rules here for 2016, JS? Are you allowed to plug stuff or not?
Well, since I'm not the same JS you spoke to, since I'm a trans-dimensional JS, there's we switch places. This JS cannot speak about plugs. It doesn't.
So you're essentially the Harry Kim of this podcast. Is that what you're saying?
That's correct.
Enjoy that promotion, JS. So that does take us indeed to the music part of episode 130 of the GonnaGeek.com podcast. Hey, 130. That's a milestone, maybe. For the GonnaGeek.com podcast, I'm Stephen John Drew.
We beat YouTube.
I'm a rocket scientist.
And I'm Harry Kim.
Bye!
From everyone here at the GonnaGeek.com podcast, thanks for listening. If you like what you heard, please give us a 5-star review on iTunes. We encourage you to send your feedback by email to podcast@GonnaGeek.com. You can find all of our show history at GonnaGeek.com/official podcast. And while you're there, why not head over and check out all of the geeky podcasts on the GonnaGeek Network. The music heard on this show is by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com. Thanks for listening, and we will see you again next week.